Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, your home for all content, Lord of the Rings home. We have the announcement of the characters for the month of December. It is Thorin's company, and most importantly, we have an announcement for the next legendary character. It is Thorin Oakenshield himself. I have the announcement article here, as well as some additional tidbits of information from CG Heem that I think you'll want to stick around for because they provide info about when to expect more info, and it adds a little bit of speculation to what, things like the unlock requirements are. Let's dive into it. Let's read what the article has to say. One of the most famous and beloved dwarves, Thorin Oakenshield and his company of fellow dwarf and hobbit adventurers are immortalized in The Hobbit. Their quest to reclaim Erebor, also known as the Lonely Mountain, not only changes the lives of Thorin and his company, but also the course of the history of Middle-earth, culminating in the Battle of the Five Armies. This coming month, we bring these iconic characters from lore to the Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth, beginning with our next legendary character, Thorin Oakenshield himself. Other beloved characters include Bombur and Bilbo Baggins. Bombur, love to see that. And Bilbo Baggins, we meet our company at the beginning of their journey as they set forth from the Shire to the Lonely Mountain. So this is at the start of their journey there. This is what, Thorin looks different from the movies, but that's to be expected. This is based off of the books. You can see the Lonely Mountain in the background. Once again, love the stained glass artwork. It's so cool. This is a little bit of a surprise to me, not gonna lie. I really thought it was gonna be a Shadow Legendary. I did not expect two light legendaries in a row. I thought it was gonna be Necromancer. I still thought it was gonna be Dwarf Unlock, but I didn't think it was gonna be Thorin. I guess in retrospect, obviously hindsight is 2020, it does make sense. They said it was going to be from The Hobbit. This is like the most obvious thing you could pick from The Hobbit, or one of the most obvious things you can pick from The Hobbit. Two, they just released Mines of Moria, and obviously they're going to the Lonely Mountain, but I think the other part of that is essentially that they released Balin as a what-if Shattered Timeline character that sort of connects the current dwarves and the elves, right? It's kind of this connective tissue between the elves and dwarves. And I think Thorin's company basically starts to flesh a little bit of that out. And actually now, just thinking sort of off the top of my head, I'm wondering if Bilbo is kind of going to be a clue for what to expect next. Eventually, we do have to get shadow characters, though. Let's get into what Thorin here. He looks great. Son of Thrain II, grandson of King Thror, and king of Durin's folk, there was no finer dwarf leader or fighter than Thorin Oakenshield. Having been at the Battle of Azanulbizar, which resulted in exile, then leading the expedition to reclaim the Lonely Mountain from the terrible dragon Smaug, forever the rightful king under the mountain. And there's a little quote from The Hobbit here about how great Thorin Oakenshield himself is. He's a great fighter. I'm actually really excited that they're adding Bombur. I think he's just a great character, definitely from the movies. I think he's just a great character overall. It's so funny. The only scrap of comfort there was came unexpectedly from Bombur. He woke up suddenly and sat up scratching his head. He could not make out where he was at all, nor why he felt so hungry. Been there, my man. For he had forgotten everything that had happened since they started their journey that May morning long ago. The last thing that he remembered was the party at the Hobbit's house, and that they had great difficulty in making him believe their tale of all the many adventures they had had since. A member of Thorin's company, we first meet Bombur as he tumbled into Bag End. Well, not a descendant of Durin's line like Thorin and others, he was descended from the dwarves of Moria, and was no less as determined and capable as his companions. A renowned deep sleeper throughout the adventure, Bombur nonetheless continued on and later survived the Battle of Five Armies and made Erebor his home. I'm very curious to find out exactly what his, what kind of character he is, whether he's a support, whether he's a healer, whether he's an attacker or a tank, or I have no idea. I'm very curious to figure out how they sort of shape his kit. And then, of course, we have Bilbo. I actually really like the design of Bilbo here. He looks good. Yeah, I really like this. Sorry, I don't want any adventures. Thank you. Not today. Good morning, but please come to tea anytime you like. Why not tomorrow? Goodbye. Once a content hobbit with no thoughts of adventure or dwarves, Bilbo Baggins is one of the most memorable heroes of Middle-earth and is one of the most important in its history. Bilbo was swept up by Gandalf the Grey in the company of Thorin Oakenshield as their contract burglar and companion. His actions along the way forever make him a beloved friend of the dwarves. So I think one of the natural questions people are going to have is, why is Bilbo not the legendary? And I think the answer is probably that they specifically mentioned at the beginning of the article that this is when they are at the start of their journey. And I don't think Bilbo is legendary at the start of their journey. He kind of grows into being legendary, right? Very curious. So the current Thorin's company members we have are Feely, Keely, and Biffer. Duh. I just made a video about him. And then now we're also going to be getting Thorin, Bilbo, and Bomber. So that makes 6, right? So that means we're probably going to be able to swap some people out. There's going to be some synergy. Maybe I expect that Bilbo is going to have some synergy with the hobbits, maybe be a better hobbit leader, which will be great for the hobbit lovers, right? So I have 2 pieces of information. 1, before everyone grabs pitchforks, Thorin Oakenshield's character kit will include the requirements, and that will go out Monday after Thanksgiving. So this next Monday, we will get the character kit for Thorin and what he will require. So speaking of requirements, well, we'll belay that for a second. Okay, the second piece of information I have for you is that of the trio, Thorin, Bomber, and Bilbo, Thorin's event will appear first. So I think a lot of people initially were like, oh, Thorin's company has to be Thorin's company unlock, has to be Thorin's company unlock, because then we will have 5 Thorin's company to unlock the 6th member, Thorin. Thorin's appearing first, though. So who's going to be the unlock? I wouldn't start panic farming anything yet. We will hear on Monday exactly the requirements. I'm hoping it's dwarves, for my sake. But I think they could be starting. They could do a number of things. It could be hobbits. It could be like Road to Rivendell. Well, maybe not. Maybe that doesn't make as much sense. But there could be hobbits in there. It could be just hobbits and dwarves. That would be very generous. We could start with the unlock being something that is like the opposite faction, right? So it could be a shadow side, maybe Mordor. I don't know. Dwarves seems to make the most sense to me, but I wouldn't panic yet. We will get that info on Monday, and then you can start maybe thinking about whether you're going to be able to get him to 5 or 7 stars or whatever stars you want. But that's it for me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. We ran a bet in my Discord server about who the next legendary was going to be, and so I'm curious to who is going to get it the most right, because they get a free piece of merch. This was shocking. In a good way, but I definitely was not expecting this. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.